I'm starving. Let's grab a quick snack.
Sure thing. How about some fruit and yogurt?
Fruit and yogurt? Nah, let's go get pizza. Cheese and carbs? Perfect combo.
Classic you. You do realize a vegetable won't bite you, right? You need to start eating better.
Hey, I do eat greens. Just had lettuce on my burger last week.
Oh, impressive. But seriously, you should cut back on all that greasy stuff and try some real food.
All right, fine. I'll add a salad to my pizza. Happy now?
Closer, but I'll believe it when I see it. No more empty promises.
This is Original English Pod from Sunny English Studio. Hey everyone, welcome back to Original English Pod. I'm Leo.
And I'm Sarah. Today we're tackling a topic that's close to all our hearts and stomach's food. We'll be talking about healthy eating, or at least aiming for it.
Aiming is right. I mean, when I say I'm starving, let's grab a bite to eat, it doesn't always mean something with green leaves. For me, that's more like pizza or a burger.
Classic you, Leo. And classic you is actually the first phrase on our list today. It's great to use when someone does something you totally expected.
Right. So if your friend is always showing up late, you can say classic you. It's a funny way to show how well you know them, especially their usual habits.
Absolutely. And another good one is you do realize you'd use this to point out something obvious, like a friendly reminder, but with a bit of humor.
Perfect example. Like, you do realize that pizza isn't exactly a vegetable, right? It's a way to poke a little fun while still hinting they could make a better choice.
Yep, it's definitely a good one for health talks. Now, Leo, let's talk about the phrase cut back on. This is great for when you're trying to reduce something. Not necessarily cut it out, just cut back a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we can all relate to needing to cut back on something, whether it's sweets, caffeine, or screen time. Like, I need to cut back on sugar or cut back on streaming shows till 3 a.m.
It's such a useful phrase. And here's one that's a little more fun. Grab a bite to eat. I like this one for inviting people out casually. It just sounds friendly, doesn't it?
Totally. Like, hey, want to grab a bite to eat? It makes it sound like a quick, low-pressure plan. Great for catching up with friends or a short lunch.
All right, so here's a quick recap. We've got classic you for those funny, predictable moments. You do realize to give a friendly reminder, cut back on for reducing something, and grab a bite to eat for casual meal plans.
Exactly. Try these out next time you're chatting with friends. They're all great ways to sound natural and add some personality to your conversations.
And remember, if you're like Leo here and love fries, maybe it's time to cut back on the fries a little.
Hey, fries are my weakness. I'll cut back. Eventually.
You know, Leo, that line about a vegetable won't bite you really cracked me up. It's like, for some people, veggies are the real enemy.
Right? And then there's that classic excuse, I had lettuce on my burger last week. Like, one tiny leaf on a burger counts as healthy eating.
Exactly. Or the best part, adding a salad to pizza and calling it a balanced meal. You're still just eating pizza with a bit of green on top.
Totally. It's like saying, I'll just sprinkle a little salad on top and suddenly this greasy slice is healthy.
And that no more empty promises line, it's so real. I mean, who hasn't told themselves, this time I'm really cutting back only to give in the very next day?
Guilty as charged. But hey, it's all about balance, right? All right, should we dive into the world of junk food?
Sure we will. I know we joke about it, but let's be real. Is junk food only the usual suspects like burgers, chips, and soda? Or is there a lot more to it?
Oh, there's way more to it than I ever realized. I used to think it was just, the classic fast foods, but it turns out tons of foods we think of as healthy can technically count as junk food if they're high in added sugar, salt, or unhealthy fats.
Seriously? So even say certain cereals or light snack bars?
Exactly. According to some recent studies, anything heavily processed and loaded with sugar or salt can fall into that junk food category. It's crazy, right? Even cereals marketed as healthy can have more sugar than a cookie.
That's wild. I mean, It makes sense. Sugar is everywhere these days, even in foods that seem pretty harmless. So I guess it's no wonder that for a lot of people, junk food makes up a big portion of their daily calories.
Right. And here's where it gets tricky. Even though it seems like people could just cut back, it's not always that simple. Some neighborhoods don't have easy access to fresh produce, so people rely on packaged foods because it's what's available and affordable.
I know exactly what you mean. When you think about it that way, it's less about choosing junk food and more about having limited options. It's eye-opening, honestly.
Definitely. I think it shifts the whole conversation to junk food isn't just about craving fries or donuts. It's sometimes about what's within reach. And in the US, it's a pretty big deal, especially when studies show the impact of junk food on health disparities between communities.
Right. And that's why cutting back sounds great in theory, but it might take more than just willpower for a lot of folks. It might even take changes at a community level, like better access to fresh food and nutritional education.
Agreed. So maybe for those of us who do have more options, it's about finding that balance. You don't have to completely give up on junk food, just be more mindful of it.
Yes. Like instead of saying, I'm giving up fries forever, it could be more like, I'll enjoy fries occasionally and then balance it with healthier choices. We don't have to go cold turkey.
That's the key, right? Moderation. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'd never eat a donut again. But I'm also trying not to let those empty promises pile up.
Same here. All right, listeners, now it's your turn. Do you have a favorite junk food? And if you're feeling bold, how would you try cutting back on it? Let us know. All right, let's recap. Today, we learned some handy expressions like classic you for describing those funny habits. And you do realize to point out something obvious in a friendly way.
Exactly. And we talked about cutting back on to mean reducing something unhealthy and empty promises. Those good intentions we don't always keep.
Plus, we discovered that junk food covers more than burgers and soda. Even foods like certain cereals can fall into that category if they're high in sugar or salt. It's all about balance, really.
Right. Balance is key, whether it's in language or lifestyle. We hope you all enjoyed and found some fun insights about food and expressions here at Sunny English Studio.
Thanks for joining us at Original English Pod from Sunny English Studio, where learning stays fresh and fun. Keep shining and practicing, everyone.
Words and expressions.
Grab a quick snack. Meaning, to get something small to eat, typically something easy and fast to prepare or find. Example, I have a meeting in 10 minutes, so let's just grab a quick snack.
Classic you. Meaning, used humorously to point out someone's predictable behavior. Example, skipping breakfast again. Classic you.
You do realize. Meaning, this phrase playfully emphasizes that someone is overlooking an obvious point. Example, you do realize we can't eat cake for breakfast every day, right?
Cut back on. Meaning, to reduce or limit something, especially something unhealthy. Example, I'm trying to cut back on caffeine and drink more water.
Empty promises. Meaning, promises that someone has no intention of keeping, often used humorously or to imply disbelief. Example, you said you'd exercise daily, but it's been all empty promises.